Hollywood is not for the faint of heart. It was rough. You're going on hundreds of auditions and you're being rejected on who you are, and your talent and what you look like. And when I switched from the kind of perspective of they're doing this to me, they don't want me, and took ownership over this is an experience. Forget getting the role, just have fun today. I switched that, and then within weeks, I got the part.
When you are in this feeling like you're inferior or less than or not wanted, you're disempowered. Your vibration is going to be lower and it's not going to call in getting the role. Whatever identity that you portray out into the world and what you believe is essentially what the world will think of you. That's what I always say. So if I believe that I'm shy and introverted or all that kind of stuff, then that's how they'll see me.
That's the thing that I want to talk to you about more.
Welcome back to the Manifested Podcast with Kathleen Cameron. I am so incredibly excited today to have a guest on the podcast that, when you meet someone and you instantly click and you instantly know that there's alignment and synergy, this was what this was like when I met this next guest. So I am welcoming today Sanaa Lathan to the Manifested Podcast. And it is a beautiful manifestation of my own because the movie Love and Basketball, I don't know if I've told you this, has been such a beautiful part of my life. One of my favorite movies. I've watched it so many times. And it's just the power of energy because the more that you see something, observe something, pay attention to something, the closer you get to it. And so this is just evidence of the power behind this work. So welcome to the podcast. I'm so excited to have you and to share value with this manifestation.
I am so happy to be here. And you manifested me.
We
manifested each other. I love it.
Yeah. It's just a little bit about how we met. I got this beautiful opportunity came to me to be involved in investing in something in Hollywood. So it's a project that will come to fruition in the future. So stay tuned for that. But I got introduced to this opportunity and of course I resonated with it. And then I think it was the director of it or something said, I really think Sanaa would love to meet you.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'd love to meet her. Yeah. And then that first meeting we had on Zoom.
It was just, we didn't want to get off.
Yeah.
Yeah. People know that I'm so into spirituality and manifesting your destiny. I talk about it all the time. A lot of people think I'm weird. They think I'm woo-woo. But I have no problem sharing with people. A lot of times people come to me for advice. And so it was Jeff. Jeff called me so excitedly after he talked to you. And he was like, you have got to meet this woman, Kathleen, and she speaks your language. You guys are going to hit it off. So anyway, I'm thrilled that he introduced us. I'm thrilled to be here. And I'm thrilled that, we're going to create some projects in the future.
Oh yeah, we're going to talk about that. So the first thing I would love to know, so we speak the same language. So what would you say is your definition or experience with the word manifestation?
The way manifestation kind of came into my life, when I came into the business, I was born to two artists. One was a dancer, one was a director. They were very young, 23 and 25 when they had me. Black artists in America, they were struggling, but they really created some real beautiful careers for themselves. My childhood wasn't always easy. There was a lot of trauma there. But my mother was always curious, spiritually curious. There was a period she was into Scientology. There was a period when she was into Buddhism. There was a period when she was going to Catholic Church. So she kind of was one of these spiritual seekers, but she never would push it on me. But what I learned from that, because she just loved religion and she loved different ways that people worked through life with faith. But she really taught me to have my own relationship with the higher power, God, and to kind of be in constant communication with God. And so I learned that from just kind of watching her. And when I got into the business as a Black woman, Hollywood, for any race, any gender is not for the faint of heart. But it was my passion, and I felt like I was on my purpose, and I came into the business, and it was rough. It was really rough for me. I am a very sensitive person, which makes me good at what I do in terms of acting.
Yeah, it's a
But,
superpower.
yes,
Yeah.
thank you. But with the business, there's a whole nother side, which is the business. And you've got to navigate that. And you're going on hundreds of auditions and you're being rejected on who you are, and your talent and what you look like. And you have to learn some kind of philosophy to navigate that in order to survive. Otherwise, a lot of people give up. A lot of people kind of crack under that pressure. So when I was in my 20s, I met a woman named Debbie Owens, a Black woman who was kind of like a spiritual mentor for me. And she taught me, she was really into Abraham Hicks.
Yes.
And so she kind of introduced me to Abraham Hicks, which, I know you know Abraham, but for those of you that don't know, she channels beings, and her whole philosophy is that you manifest your destiny, and you do it through visualization and focus, and it's a whole philosophy. I would drive around in LA from audition to audition, and I would have all the
You'd
tapes.
be
This was when
listening. Yeah.
this cassette tapes. I was like, I have to have a car with it, because I remember it was like a special thing to have a car with a cassette
Cassette
tape
tapes.
player.
Do they make them anymore?
No, I don't think so. And then, so it was like my mantra, just lifting up off of the negative, constantly, getting yourself to a place of feeling good. And I think through that philosophy and working with Debbie, I mean, she was also, working with me as kind of like a life coach too. That was like my entree into manifestation and thinking that way. And really, the biggest thing is kind of like, it moves you from victim to I have agency over my destiny. And with Love and Basketball, um, I had been working a little here and there, and it was kind of a destiny point. I look back on it, and Gina Prince Bythewood, who wrote and directed, we look back on it like, gosh, it's so crazy. All the little things that had to happen for me to even get a shot. I was hiking with my friend, and I came home and I got a call to do a reading for this movie because the actress got sick. And it was like a staged reading for people to, like, investors. And you're just sitting and reading from the script. And I was like, no, I don't do that. I'm from the theater. I've done that a million times. I'm not doing that. And then the person who I happened to be with, who I took the hike with, said to me, no, no, this is a really good script and it's a really good role. You should do it. So then I wound up doing it. Like, what if she didn't get sick? Do you know what I'm saying? I wound up doing it. And because of that, when Gina actually made the movie a couple years later, she brought me in, and she wasn't bringing in actresses. She was only bringing in basketball players. But because she couldn't forget that
That reading.
performance, yeah. So there was that. But then she had all these producers, these big producers telling her, you need a basketball player in this role. And she was listening to them. But I was always the best actress. She would bring me in, and I would, always kill it in the audition. But then we'd go across the street to do some dribbling. And I was horrible because I was not a basketball player. And so it was Debbie, the life coach that I had, who, so for this went on for months, and it was very emotionally taxing because it's like I would get to a certain level, and then they'd find another basketball player. It's like they really, the message I was getting was, we don't want you. We really don't want you, but we're going to keep you on hold until we find the right person. And then finally, after like 3 months, everybody in my life, including my agents, were saying, okay, pull out. They don't want you. This is too much for you. And Debbie, she was like, well, what else are you going to do? Do you like acting? I said, yeah, go in there and have fun acting. Do you like working out? Go in there and have fun playing basketball. And when I switched from the kind of perspective of they're doing this to me, they don't want me, and took ownership over, you know what? This is an experience. Forget getting the role. Just have fun today in the room. I switched that. And then within weeks, I got the part.
That's so beautiful. I want to touch on a couple things that you said for those that are listening in terms of manifestation, because when you are in this feeling like you're inferior or less than or not wanted, you're disempowered, right? And so your vibration is going to be lower and it's not going to call in getting the role. So it's almost like when you decided just to have fun, you detached. And it was no longer about trying to get something or force something. It was like, I'm just going to let it be and have fun and it'll come in that way. And so I love that. There's also the bridge of incidents you talked about, which I teach on.
Yes.
There was a whole bunch of sequence of events that had to occur to lead you to get the role, being on that hike and doing the reading and none of these things are by accident. They're actually all by vibrational design, which means the more that you think from the idea of being a highly successful actress, the more these types of roles will come. But I know you said something to me personally the other day that I think's funny because you told me that people still to this day think that you play basketball or that you're a basketball player. So how phenomenal that, that whole kind of turmoil up and down about wanting a basketball player in the role and you end up getting in the role and now people think that you played basketball at some point in your life. So it's just
Yeah, I
evidence of
mean,
this
it's
work.
crazy how the WNBA has taken off. When we did the movie, it was 1 year old. And when she wrote the movie, she has the character say, "I'm going to be the first girl in the NBA," because when she wrote when she wrote the movie, there was no WNBA. Isn't that
Wow,
interesting?
I didn't know that.
And so we had a shot at the end of the movie. I don't. People who know the movie will remember where she does a free throw, I think, or she checks into the game as a Spark, and that was a real Sparks game. And I wasn't like, nobody knew who I was. So they're like, what is this? You could see the players like, we're going to take time out of our game. So it was all real fans. And we got the shot. I was super nervous. And years later, Gina Prince Bythewood, who wrote and directed it. She has season tickets to the Sparks in LA. And I think after that movie, because there was so much pressure on me delivering like how to look like a basketball player, and it was really hard, I kind of tuned out to basketball. So I kind of have been oblivious to what's going on with the WNBA. So we go to the Sparks game, and it was as if I was like an all-star. I was like, oh, right, I was a Spark. I had completely had forgotten.
Oh my
Isn't that
gosh.
funny?
That was a really great thing that you just said about how the world thinks you're a basketball player because you were in a movie. And how that relates to manifestation work and identity is like the world will believe whatever you give it. So, whatever identity that you portray out into the world and what you believe is essentially what the world will think of you. That's what I always say. So, if I believe that I'm shy and introverted or all that kind of stuff, then that's how they'll see me. And so when I started to say, well, am I really shy? Or like, do I like my alone time? Yes. Do I regain my energy when I'm alone? Yes. But am I shy? Actually, no. I think I'm actually quite easygoing and outgoing and make friends easily. And so I just kind of went within myself and changed it.
I love that. And that's the thing that I want to talk to you about more is the going within and changing it, because you can't fake it, right? And so definitely speaking is kind of like prayers, right? What
Yeah.
everything that we
Speak it into
speak.
existence.
Yeah, like when you said to me the other day, because I am an empath, right? So I feel other people's emotions, and sometimes that's hard for me socially. And you said I'm an empath who doesn't absorb other people's energy. And so every time that comes up for me in the past couple of weeks, I've been saying to myself, yes, I'm an empath. I'm very compassionate, and I don't absorb other people's energies. So it's almost talking to yourself like you would a child.
Yeah, yeah, and I see it as just noticing what I do believe because whatever I believe will be my experience. I will experience that thing simply by my belief in it. And so it's not a bad thing or wrong to be empathetic. It's actually a beautiful quality. What we start to feel like is that an empath takes on other people's energy. And that
Right.
if you're empathetic, you feel this person and you feel this person,
Yeah.
you feel this person,
Yeah.
and then it becomes part of you. And I was noticing that in myself. I even bought like all the selenite crystals to cleanse my
Yeah.
aura and the
I have all of
sage.
them.
Yeah. And I was like burning sage and all that kind of stuff. And then I went, hold on. Let's go back to the beliefs that I hold. Is it true that I have to absorb it if I'm empathetic? And I went, actually, no, I'm going to believe something different and try this belief on for size. And so it's like,
And
no.
I love that. So is it as simple as that, as just change? I mean, so there's no more like, there's no process that you do to change the belief. You just decide.
I have an overarching belief that I can accept a new belief in an instant.
Oh, I love that.
So,
Then you have the belief that you have.
yes.
That's so
So if
amazing.
you believe that changing beliefs is hard, takes a long time, has to have a 27-step process to do so, that's going to be your experience. So I decided to go back to the overarching umbrella belief around belief changing and say, no, I can accept a new belief in an instant. Then I actually found evidence in my physical world that this was true. So when I was a new mother with Mason, I was using Johnson and Johnson's lavender baby lotion and baby soap. And of course, I want to take care of my child and give her the best products. Well, then this article comes out. I loved that product. This article comes out that says that there's carcinogens in it. Effective immediately, changed my belief about Johnson and Johnson. I was like, never using this again, threw it out in the garbage. So just like that, I changed an entire belief about a product. With a little bit of information. And even like if I were to sit here and talk to you about someone and badmouth this person to you, it will change your belief of that person by hearing what I have to say. So now I just teach people how to do this
I
in a
love
very
that.
conscious, aware way.
I want you to teach me.
I am teaching you, girl. That's what we're doing. That is what
So
we're
good.
doing. And you're teaching me too, which is beautiful. But you've manifested some incredible things in your life. What are some of the things that you are the most proud of kind of calling into your life or experiences that you've had?
I've been, really focused on my career. That has been my passion my whole life. And so I remember when I was doing this manifestation work in my 20s, I would write out what I want my long-term career to be. And I always said, I want to make movies, new classics that the world loves. And what I mean by a new classic, it means it stands the test of time. It crosses cultural lines, age lines, and that people watch them over and over, even after I'm gone. And so I feel like I've achieved that already. I have many movies that are kind of considered new classics, and that people tell me, "Oh, I fall asleep to Brown Sugar every night," or I watch something new. I mean, so that feels good to me because I really take what I do seriously, and I love what I do. But I also believe that storytelling can be cathartic. I believe it can be healing. Um, and I think just even entertainment alone, we need that. We need the arts. The arts can heal. My mother used to work with, inner city kids that went through lots of trauma, and she would do um, art classes and dance classes. And to be able to channel all of that into something a work of art that's something that's beautiful is can be very healing and also create a sense of self-worth. So I really believe in what I do and just the career. And so one of the a big manifestation that I kind of created without knowing. Sometimes you like call in things that you don't even realize you're calling in. And after the pandemic, as I've been in so many movies, and before the pandemic, I started working with a cinematographer who said to me, he's like, you're a director, and I was acting in a movie.
Ooh, see how he planted that seed, that idea in
Yes,
you?
he did.
Yeah.
He did. And I always said to myself, because my dad was a director, and in my teens, I said I want to be a director. I never said I wanted to be an actress. But I always imagined it like later when I'm, a lot older. And he was like, you're a director. And this was before a lot of the actresses were doing it. And he says, I teach cinematographers. I said, oh, I would love to do that when I'm in between jobs. And so we kind of got together just casually over several years, and he gave me kind of like a film course, um, and then around the pandemic, I did a short and just happened to show it to my agents just to get feedback. Really, honestly, not looking to direct. My agent was like, "Oh, this is good." It was like a 20-minute short that I did in my house with my dog. And he said, "Can we start submitting you?" And I was like, "Sure." I didn't think anything was going to come of it. Within a month, I was pitching for a studio movie, $20 million studio movie called On the Come Up. It's a follow up to The Hate You Give, these amazing young adult novels by Angie Thomas. And I got the job. And that was an experience where I really had no attachment to it because I was like, let me go through this process because it's so different than trying to get an acting job. I had to do a deck and pitch and go through many, many rounds and really come up with a vision before. And then I got the job and I was like, wait, what, huh? But it was such a wonderful experience because one, I had been kind of preparing myself with those, classes, but also just being an actress in the business, you realize you're absorbing so much when you're on set all the
Mhm.
time. So that was a huge manifestation that I didn't write down, but I feel like that was another kind of destiny point
Well,
too.
yeah, and if you think about what you said when you started telling the story, like when you were a teenager, you thought one day I'll direct. So it was like you planted that seed
Yeah.
many, many years before, were unattached to it and allowed it to just unfold beautifully. And then it ends up happening faster than you thought. So you were like, oh, I'll do it like later in life. And it is happening while you're still like in your prime and youthful and young, which is beautiful.